Hello everyone, my name is Anand Bashir. I'm currently pursuing chemistry from IIT Bombay. Today, I'm going to give you an overview of the last lecture of the biomedical engineering module, which is the neural or the neuroplasticity. So let's start. The neural plasticity, the ability of the brain to structurally and functionally reorganize and adapt. So it is just like a learning mechanism which the brain does for adapting to its environment. The neural plasticity, the ability of the brain to structure and functionally reorganize and adapt, and this functional remapping of the somatosensory cortex. So this is the cortex which is responsible for learning anything new, and the injury or amputation or surgical removal of this digit is very critical for our survival. The neural plasticity is also useful for task specific training and experience. So, this is also a manner where we can gain experience. Schematic illustration of change in motor cortex during skill motor learning. So, in the initial stages, the motor map area would look like this, and after learning, the skill would develop to this green region. Stroke. So stroke is occurs when blood flows to a part of the brain is reduced or stops, or this is also known as a brain attack. When this happens, brain cell begins to die, causing brain damage. Stroke is a medical emergency. 1 minute of brain ischemia, a reduced blood flow, can kill 2 million nerve cells, and that's a lot. There are two types of strokes. One, the ischemic stroke, where the blood flow or is reduced to our brain, and one is the hemorrhagic stroke, where there's a bursting or breakage of blood vessel within our brain. So 13% of the strokes are hemorrhagic. The risk factors: weak blood vessels and uncontrolled high blood pressure and accidental injury can give rise to this stroke. Whereas in the ischemic stroke, risk factors are high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, obesity, smoking, and heavy drinking. So, how to identify the symptoms and how to avoid it? So, we can see that our one side of face will droop, our opposite arms will, our arms will point in opposite direction, our speech will become slurred or odd type, and the time we have to call for help is reduced immensely. So, we need to act fast. Then stroke will affect one side of the brain, which indirectly will affect the other part of your body. So it is interconnected. The UMN pathways are typically damaged. The stroke will result into a hemiplegic gait for after the stroke, which is the presence of foot drop, the inability to voluntarily lift the foot up at the ankle joint, and instead we will drag the foot while walking. So it's a very uh, dangerous situation, and the circumduction will happen at the hip joint. Otherwise, our leg will start to decay. The increased weight bearing and leaning on the unaffected lower limb will become a habit. Poor balance and gait control will increase the risk of fall. Hand function after stroke will the loss of fine independent movement of finger, poor control of reaching, increased reliance on unaffected arm, and poor hand control, and affects your daily routine like eating, writing, bathing, and wearing of clothes. Parkinson disease, it is very similar to this stroke, but it happens due to aging, and it is stiffness, rigidity of the trunks and limbs. So this is a neurodegenerative disorder where the neurons in the midbrain or in the basal ganglia circuitry that produce the neurotransmitter dopamine undergo cell damage and cell death. And this decreases the release of dopamine, which affects the function of basal ganglia circuitry. There are other incognitions also, like difficulty in initiating a movement, impaired coordination, impaired balance and gait, episodes of freezing, problem with talking, cognitive defects, and many more things. So the treatment is long-term medication to maintain balance of neurotransmitter. Surgical implantation of deep brain simulator or rehabilitation will also help. Hand tremors, involuntary shaking of the upper limbs. Then multiple sclerosis, a immune mediated disease where the body's immune system attack the myelin sheath. So our own immune system will start attacking the myelin sheath of the neurons and will tear it apart. The damaged areas of multiple site develop scar tissue, hence namely multiple sclerosis. And the risk is age, which is 20 to 50 year people will be most commonly seen in women, and hereditary and environmental toxins. And this results in fatigue, muscle weakness, muscle spasticity, numbness, tingling, sensory loss, blood vision, urinary problems, and many more. This will also release in the impaired gait as we discussed before. So we prevent all this by doing a routine checkup like with the transcranial magnetic stimulation, where our entire brain will be scanned for such diseases beforehand, and we can take the precautions. A magnetic resonance imaging. So this is our MRI scan, where the magnetic resonance imaging is used to scan our brain and creates its 3D image and check for any clotting or any issue in our brain wiring. Then there's the magnetic resonance image just we just discussed, that this is the diagrams which we get after doing the MRI scan, and we can look for the issues. Like you can see here that this is the affected region and this is a not affected region. Then basis of developing rehabilitation. So it is mainly for helping us come back to our normal routine if we are affected by any of such diseases. So neural plasticity to redevelop, it will take time, and motor control. These things are which we will lose if we are affected by such diseases. Then how will we do that? We can do it by robot assistance and then repeated practices like robot assisted movement therapy, where the person can be simulated to using a robot legs or limbs and any other parts. A robot assisted movement therapy, where a robotic component is used near our legs or arms to help them in their normal motion. Functional electrical stimulation, where a person can be simulated to move on a surface using this therapy. Then constraint induced movement, where one hand, which is the good one, is constrained to let our affected arm to habitate to our normal daily chores. And the sensory motor feedback based balance training, where a person is in a simulation where he can where he can be helped to gain back his sensory motions and movements. And this is finally the neuromodulation via non-invasive brain stimulation. So this is the affected hemisphere, this is the unaffected hemisphere. So increasing activity here by providing more work to this part other than this the unaffected region. And thus transcranial direct current stimulation. So current is directly provided to the brain of the magnitude 1 to 2 milliampere for 5 to 20 minutes. This affects for 60 to 90 minutes post simulation, and this helps us to deal with such disease post effects. So this was all for the biomedical engineering part. So all the best for your enzymes. Thank you for watching. Peace.